Before you dive into any installation, you need to gather some information on the unit to be replaced. Since there are a variety of floor closers, make an initial job site visit to determine the correct model. Refer to the Model Identification Guide on Rixson's website to help you. You may want to download the guide and keep it in your vehicle for future reference. Also, on your initial inspection, check top and intermediate pivots as well as the bottom arm to see if they should also be replaced. Note the gap from the top of the closer to the underside of the door. If it is more than 3/4 of an inch, you may need a longer spindle. Refer to the identification guide to tell you if that is the case. Make sure the reinforcement plates of metal doors and frames are still secure. A loose knuckle on the top or intermediate pivot indicates a problem. Check the Rixson catalog to identify the needed replacement parts. Click on End User Sales and Service on the Rixson website to find a repair center stocking a wide range of models. Before you begin the replacement, make sure the new closer you have ordered has the same markings as the one you are replacing, verifying it is the correct hand and type. Always make sure you have an ample supply of machine and wood screws in a variety of lengths. Floor closers use 3/4 inch, 1/4 20 brass screws to attach the closer to the cement case. Never use steel screws in this application. You'll also need a large flat blade screwdriver, a crowbar, a number 3 Phillips driver, a set of Allen wrenches for the pivot caps and set screws, a set of screw taps, breakable blue Loctite, a wire brush, a power drill, rags, a vacuum, and arm shims. Here we are replacing a floor closer at an elementary school in Hesperia, California. The closer is original to the building and dates from the mid-1960s. The aluminum and glass doors are 1 3/4 inches thick, 3 feet wide, and 7 feet tall. Door weight is about 90 pounds. The existing closer is a Model 25 with 1 adjusting valve. We are replacing this with a Model 27, which has better adjustments and a hold open feature. The threshold will be modified to accommodate the 27's 4 adjustment holes. Typically, only the closer body requires replacement. At this installation, however, we notice scoring on the threshold. Since this was probably caused by arm screws, we brought an arm as well. The pivots seemed to be in excellent shape. There were no gaps at the underside of the door. To begin the replacement, first, unscrew the Phillips head screw, securing the finished arm cap to the bottom arm, and remove the cap. The cap will be used on the Model 27 closer to complete the installation, keeping the appearance the same for both doors. Remove the screws from the threshold covering the Rixson Model 25. Remove the cover plate. Note, since the placement of the spindle is the same for both Model 25 and 27, the original threshold can be used with minimal modification to accommodate the 4 adjustment valves. Loosen the 3/4 inch arm bolt securing the closer spindle onto the bottom arm. Newer arms are secured using a 3/8 hex bolt. Remove the 5 Phillips head screws from the intermediate pivot jamb leaf. Using a crowbar, remove the jamb portion from the frame. Screw the top pivot hex finish cap back and forth to release pressure on the set screw. Newer versions use a pin only that is inserted into the underside of the knuckle. Unscrew the set screw from the side of the pivot. Once the set screw has been removed, the pivot stud can be removed. The set screw is found only on older or extra heavy-duty top pivots. Remove the hex finish cap and the top pivot stud. At this point, the top, intermediate, and bottom pivots are disengaged, and the door is ready to be removed from the opening. Take care with the heavy, unsecured door at this point. With the door closed, place a crowbar over a large screwdriver handle with the tip of the crowbar beneath the knuckle adjacent to the spindle. The screwdriver handle is the fulcrum, and the crowbar acts as a lever. Carefully press down on the crowbar using one foot to lift the arm knuckle off the spindle. Move the door to a safe position, laying it down onto the lock edge to make the top, intermediate, and bottom pivots accessible. You can now examine the condition of the top and intermediate pivot leaves. For this installation, a decision was made to replace the bottom arm because of improper installation of the original. Note, when replacing or installing a pivot or arm, Rixson recommends using the blue type of screw thread adhesive. Remove the 4 mounting screws, securing the floor closer into the cement case. Wrap the metal case of the floor closer using a mallet to loosen it from the metal cement case. Over the years, a floor closer case can become corroded to a metal cement case, making it difficult to separate. Wrapping breaks the bond between the floor closer and the metal cement case. Tilt out the floor closer using 2 large tools that will provide enough leverage starting at the end opposite the spindle, that is, the floor closer end closest to the lock edge of the door. Clean out, tap, and lubricate the screw threads in the cement case. This will help to ensure the new brass mounting screws will secure the new floor closer. Note, do not use steel mounting screws. Clean out any debris or excess material from the cement case. Carefully insert the new closer by first inserting the spindle end into the opening. Make sure the floor closer seats flush into the cement case. Install the 4 new mounting screws to secure the floor closer. With the new bottom arm installed and the arm locking screw loosened, place a crescent wrench onto the spindle. Rotate the spindle while moving the door back and forth. After a few twists, the door should work its way down onto the closer. Put the pivot pin into both the door and jamb portions of the top pivots. Use a crowbar and flex the door along the intermediate pivot to enable the jamb pivot leaf to slide into place in the jamb. Once the pivot slides into place, reinstall the mounting screws. Take a shim and place it between the top and bottom knuckles of the top pivot. If there is sufficient space between the knuckles for the shim to slide into the opening, a shim must be installed beneath the door closer arm. For this installation, no shim was required. Carefully tighten the hex bolt securing the spindle to the knuckle using a 3/8" hex wrench. To ensure proper operation of the floor closer, open the door and push it closed while tightening the 3/8" hex bolt. Repeat this process to ensure the spindle is properly seated. Check the adjustment of the intermediate pivot. The intermediate pivot needs adjustment to the point that this pivot's leaf is just snug, but does not carry the weight of the door. Test the operation of the floor closer by opening and letting the closer close the door. The next series of steps will discuss the adjustment of the floor closer and the installation of the threshold. The Rixson Model 27 has 4 adjustments. The Model 25 has only 1 adjustment. In order to simplify future adjustments, we'll drill 4 3/8" diameter access holes through the threshold. A floor plate for the Model 27 was used as a drill guide. Make sure that the hold open is not engaged when adjusting the Rixson Model 27 floor closer. The next step is to check the latch speed. You want the door to latch and close completely. You do not want the door to slam shut. Adjust as necessary. Next, adjust the back check. This floor closer is designed to stop at 105 degrees. It should begin to slow down its open beginning at about 90 degrees. Make sure you never fully close the back check valve, since this will cause excess pressure on all of the seals in the floor closer. Once the door closes properly, install the threshold plates. Make sure the screws do not scrape along the bottom of the door. The final step is to reinstall the original arm cap using a Phillips head screw. One last test of door operation, and your installation is complete.